Doug Andrew recently did a video in which he implored his listeners to never use a Roth IRA or Roth 401k again. Why? Because the IUL is far superior and should be the source of the vast majority of your distributions in retirement. As a huge fan of Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks and a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement, I couldn't have disliked this video any more than I did. It's rife with errors, exaggerations, omissions, and an obvious pre-commitment to persuading you, the unsuspecting consumer, to reposition the lion's share of your retirement savings into an IUL. Now, before we go any further, you have to know that I do like IUL in certain circumstances, but I have a special distaste for sales strategies that debase every other viable tax-free alternative in an effort to exalt the IUL. Okay, let's tackle the first clip.
What are the advantages of an IUL laser fund, my favorite financial vehicle for long-term goals such as retirement, versus a Roth IRA or 401k? This question has been asked thousands of times. In this episode, I'm going to explain why a properly structured max-funded IUL laser fund has 6 major advantages, whereas a Roth IRA or 401k only has 2 of those 6. There's too many strings attached. In other words, why would I mess around with all the rules and restrictions with a Roth when I can have the 2 benefits of a Roth and 4 additional benefits that Roths will never have?
So here we learn that Doug Andrews' favorite investment vehicle is by far the IUL. He's never been shy about saying so. He tells you that over the course of the video, he will explain why the IUL is far superior to the Roth IRA. First of all, I reject the either-or dichotomy he's setting up here. It should never be a choice between a Roth IRA and an IUL or a Roth 401k and an IUL. This is a huge red flag for anyone hoping to create a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement. The truth is, your tax-free strategy can incorporate as many as 6 different streams of tax-free income, not just the IUL. Your goal should be to take advantage of every tax-free nook and cranny in the IRS tax code. Why? Because every single one of those streams of tax-free income has unique qualities and attributes that set them apart from all the others. For example, the Roth IRA gives you immediate liquidity on your contributions. IULs don't do that. Roth 401ks give you a company match. IULs don't do that. Roth conversions allow you to shift an unlimited amount of money to tax-free. IULs don't allow you to do that. If through Roth conversions you can get your IRA down to the right balance, your RMDs can be offset by your standard deduction and therefore be tax-free. That means you got a deduction on your contribution, grew it tax-deferred, and then took that money out tax-free. That's like the holy grail of financial planning. You can't do that with an IUL. Now, the IUL can do some things the others can't. Namely, give you a death benefit that doubles as long-term care and help grow your money safely and productively. But by no means is it a silver bullet, or should it be the sole facet of your tax-free approach to retirement. Let's keep going.
You have Roths. I have episodes on this channel that explain that Roths only really have 2 benefits. Your money accumulates tax-free and you can access it tax-free. A properly structured max-funded tax advantage insurance contract, what I call a laser fund, has had those 2 advantages that Roths have for over 100 years in the Internal Revenue Code. Roths have only been around since 1997. But laser funds have 4 additional advantages that Roths will never have. So I'll never own an IRA or 401k or a Roth. Why would I mess around with the restrictions? Roths only allow you to put in a certain dollar amount or a certain percent of your income. If you put money in, you can't take it out without a 10% penalty within 5 years or till 59 and a half. You can't use indexing with a Roth to protect you when the market goes down. You can with an IUL laser fund. And Roths don't blossom when you die. If I die, anything left behind in a laser fund increases in value and transfers tax-free. So why would I mess around with a Roth? Because they don't have those additional advantages.
Okay, there are a lot of wild claims in this clip. Let's take them one by one. First of all, Doug Andrew tells us we should think less of the Roth IRA since it's only been around since 1997. By that logic, we shouldn't use the internet since Al Gore didn't invent it until 1990, or the iPhone since it didn't get rolled out until 2007. What Doug doesn't tell you is that the IUL itself wasn't invented until 1997, precisely the same year the Roth IRA made its debut. When he talks about cash value life insurance being around for over a century, he's referring to whole life insurance, which he absolutely despises. He has plenty of videos on his channel that get into all the reasons why he can't stand whole life. So that part struck me as a bit disingenuous. Next, he talks about the Roth IRA's contribution limits. Well, guess what? If you and your spouse are over age 50, you can put $8,000 each into your Roth IRAs. And if you both have access to a Roth 401k, you can pump another $31,000 each into those. All told, that's $78,000 per year you can put into your various Roth accounts. And don't forget that you can shift an unlimited amount of money into your Roth IRAs by way of a Roth conversion. Next, he discusses the Roth IRA's liquidity issues. According to Doug, you'll get a 10% penalty if you touch your Roth IRA within 5 years or before 59 and a half. This is an unclear, incomplete explanation of the liquidity restraints on a Roth IRA. And frankly, I think he's conflating the Roth conversion 5-year rule with the Roth contribution 5-year rule. First of all, you can touch your Roth principal whenever you want. You can make an $8,000 contribution today and take it all out tomorrow. You can't do that in an IUL. What Doug may be referring to is the restriction on accessing the growth of the Roth IRA. To be able to touch the growth in your Roth IRA tax-free, you have to be at least 59 and a half, and 5 tax years have to have passed since your first Roth IRA contribution or conversion. Next, he says you can't do the indexing approach with a Roth IRA. Well, clearly Doug hasn't read my best-selling book, Tax-Free Income for Life. In this book, I discuss how to utilize a fixed index annuity with a piecemeal internal Roth conversion feature. This type of annuity allows you to do a Roth conversion within your annuity, all while benefiting from the indexing features of the annuity contract. So yes, you can take advantage of indexing features within your Roth IRA. All right, next Doug talks about how you get the life insurance coverage within your IUL contract essentially for free. Let's take a listen.
Now, the first question I get asked, well then, what about a Roth? Why would I mess around with an insurance contract? Because there's some costs there, the cost of the insurance. Well, if you structure it correctly, the insurance is actually being paid for with a minuscule portion of money that would otherwise go out the window in unnecessary tax.
Okay, sorry, this explanation simply isn't true. Contributions to Roth IRAs and IULs are both made with after-tax dollars. In other words, the cost of admission for either vehicles, you have to be willing to pay a tax. Doug seems to be saying here that the IUL's expenses will be paid out of the money that would have otherwise gone to pay a tax. Wrong. The expenses come out of the after-tax contributions to your IUL, just as the investment expenses come out of the after-tax contributions to your Roth IRA. So it's disingenuous at best to say that the IUL's expenses are paid out of tax savings that you wouldn't experience in a Roth. Okay, let's keep going if we must.
The main other benefit with a laser fund is it blossoms. It increases in value and transfers tax-free. Now, Roths, if you die with a Roth, you leave it behind to your spouse, and it's tax-free to them, but it doesn't increase in value. A laser fund increases in value by as much as double. If I died, I'm 72 years old, and if I was in an accident tomorrow, every million I might have in my laser funds would probably blossom and transfer to about 2 million and transfer tax-free to my heirs if I die. People say, well, how much does that cost? Well, nothing's free, but it doesn't cost me anything. It's being paid for with a minuscule portion of money that would otherwise go out the window in unnecessary tax. So I'll take as much of that benefit as I can get if it's not costing me anything. It's being paid for with money that most Americans just shell out in unnecessary income tax.
Again, I think that the death benefit portion of the IUL is a valuable part of the contract, particularly since you can access that death benefit in advance of your death for the purpose of paying for long-term care. But once again, if we're doing a true apples-to-apples comparison between the Roth IRA and the IUL, then we must acknowledge that we're contributing after-tax dollars to both. The IUL doesn't impart any extra tax savings that can be earmarked towards the insurance portion of the contract. So Doug is simply overstating his case in an effort to debase the Roth IRA and exalt the IUL. Folks, the more I watch Doug Andrews' videos, the more I sour on his approach. I'm just not a fan of the silver bullet, one-size-fits-all panacea approach to index universal life. It's an imperfect tool that only really works when used in concert with all the other tax-free retirement tools available in the IRS tax code. I can't say this strongly enough. If anyone ever debases a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k in an attempt to sell you an IUL, you should run, not walk the other way. And that's especially the case when it comes to Doug Andrew. I'm David McKnight. Thanks for watching.